And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, November 29th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Foxwoods Resort Casino and Mystic Aquarium have negotiated a sponsorship agreement giving the Indian-run casino naming rights for the aquarium's 1,200-seat marine theater. The Day of New London reports that Foxwoods also will have access to other unspecified branding opportunities and signs at the aquarium. It will also be prominently featured in the aquarium's marketing and advertising plans. Foxwoods says the terms of the agreement were 6 figures for 1 year with the option to renew. It was not specific. The casino and aquarium, which have each restructured debt recently, said the sponsorship should be mutually beneficial to both. Massachusetts' new casino gambling law is already drawing a lawsuit. The firm KG Urban Enterprises says in a lawsuit filed in federal court last week that the law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution because it gives federally recognized tribes preferences in seeking a casino license in southeastern Massachusetts. At least 2 tribes, including the Mashpee Wampanoag, have expressed interest in opening a casino in New Bedford. State lawmakers have said the provision in the bill signed into law is meant to recognize the tribe's federal right to open a casino. Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Chairman Cedric Cromwell says the law treats the tribes as a sovereign political entity and is constitutional. Excuse me. The lead investigator for the Rosebud Sioux tribe in South Dakota is being investigated for his alleged involvement in the firing of a gun in a White River residential neighborhood. Millette County Sheriff Darius Wakazu tells the Rapid City Journal that 38-year-old Charles Ginsbach and a St. Francis man were recently arrested on tribal firearms charges. Ginsbach is the supervisory criminal investigator for the Rosebud Police Department. Wakazu says the tribal charges are separate from the incident in White River in which someone fired a gun from a car last week. No one was hurt. The investigation has been turned over to the state's Division of Criminal Investigation, which isn't commenting beyond confirming the probe. There is enough evidence of innocence in order to order a new trial for a man who has spent nearly 30 years in prison for murder, but not enough proof yet to set Barry Beach free, a judge has ruled. Beach told the Associated Press in a telephone interview that the decision, subject to appeal to the Supreme Court, was a huge breakthrough after 32 years of fighting the system. The case has gripped the small northeastern Montana town of Poplar since 17-year-old Kim Neese was killed in 1979 on a festive summer night at a popular riverside spot for teenagers to party at. And it has for years been the focus of a high-profile legal fight involving some of the biggest names in Montana as Beach supporters advanced his cause of being innocent. The Montana Attorney General's office said last week it has not yet decided if it would appeal to the Montana Supreme Court the ruling from District Judge Wayne Phillips that finds that Beach's supporters have found enough new evidence to warrant a new trial. Such an appeal could take up to a year. The Fort Sill Apache have won the right to establish a reservation on homelands in southern New Mexico more than 125 years after the surrender of renowned Apache leader Geronimo and the scattering of tribal members across the Southwest. The U.S. Interior Department earlier this month approved a proclamation that awards the Fort Sill Apache 30 acres to establish a reservation near Deming, New Mexico. It comes 4 years after the federal government put the land on the Aquila Flats in trust to settle a dispute between the tribe and the Comanche Nation in Oklahoma over the Fort Sill Apache's plans to expand their casino in Lawton, Oklahoma. The Fort Sill have a 10-acre headquarters in Oklahoma and 120 acres of farmland, but technically no reservation. The tribe's attorney, Philip Thompson of Washington, said he was unsure when the Bureau of Indian Affairs last created a reservation this way. Funeral services were held November 28th for Ted Means, the 65-year-old twin to William Means, an older brother and older brother Russell Means, all leadership members of South Dakota AIM. Ted Means, along with his brother Bill and Russell, have long been named as suspects in the conspiracy by AIM leadership that led to the execution of anime Pictou Aquash in December of 1975. Ted Means was the director of South Dakota AIM Security in the 1970s. Investigators have amassed more than 35 years of documents and testimony that indicate Aquash was executed because she knew both about the death of black activist Perry Ray Robinson Jr., a Martin Luther King disciple, inside Wounded Knee in 1973 during its occupation, and because Aquash was a witness to Leonard Peltier's confession to shooting 2 FBI agents on June 26, 1975. Ray Robinson was buried in Wounded Knee in April of 1973 in an unidentified grave where he still remains today. The Means brothers, along with sisters Madonna Gilbert Thunderhawk Phillips and Lorelei Means, have been named as subjects of the investigation. The investigation is ongoing, according to South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley. 2 people have been appointed as directors of the American Indian Cultural Center and Museum in Oklahoma City. The Native American Cultural and Educational Authority has announced that Blake Wade will be executive director and Gina Timberman the director of the museum. Wade will serve as chief executive officer of the authority, while Timberman's duties include leading exhibit and program development for the museum. The $170 million museum project is under construction in southeast Oklahoma City near the intersections of Interstate 35 and I-40. And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us, and you come back again soon.